Barcelona have made Alvaro Morata one of their top targets in the January transfer window, according to reports which have been confirmed by our ESPN FC sources. Gab is here with us again, as is Gemma Soler. So, Gemma, what can you tell us about this? Xavi wanting to get Alvaro Morata in at Barcelona.
Hola, Kay, Gab. Yeah, this is true. Xavi has confirmed his some ESPN FC sources that he's interested in Alvaro Morata. Everybody knows Barcelona needs quality in the final third, needs goal, and Morata is the kind of center forward that Xavi likes, because he's not only a killer, he's got goal, but also he works a lot. He does a lot of pressure. He understands the tactical game. So he's the kind of player that the Barcelona coach likes. So he's interested on him. And to try to make it possible, how is this going to be possible if we are all the time saying that Barcelona have no money, they have such a big debt, they have this problem with the spending limit? Well, there's a bizarre love triangle, we can call it like that. So Juventus owes 40 million to Atletico de Madrid for this Morata loan. Atletico Madrid owes 40 million euros to Barcelona for the Griezmann transfer. So they couldn't be working on that, so Barcelona can have the Alvaro Morata. The player is he's happy, he's willing to move. He's not that comfortable in Juventus right now. The problem here again is the spending limit. How Barcelona can be making that? Not like only trying this triangle. They need to get rid of players. They need to get rid of salaries, and this should include Memphis Depay. And neither Juventus, not the Dutch player, seem to be happy with that movement. So, okay, again, Barcelona having this problem with with inscribing the players for the spending limit.
I think what we're seeing, though, Gab, is that strengthening the attack does seem to be the priority for Xavi right now.
Yeah, which is funny, because obviously a few months ago when Koeman was still there, Memphis Depay was pretty much the only productive attacking player they had. We didn't hear the end of how good he was. I think from Juve's perspective, they have Dybala, who's 6 months away from free agency, and they have to figure out whether to commit a whole bunch of money to him. I don't think Morata is going to necessarily make waves. I appreciate the triangle with Atletico and Barcelona, but Juventus have a contract in hand. So the only way they let him go, I think, would be if they found a replacement in mid-season. They've been linked with Gianluca Scamacca from Sassuolo, obviously a very young player, but a genuine center forward. I think this is very, very difficult to pull off. As Gemma said, you still have the issue of Alvaro Morata's wages. You're adding, something like another 5 to 6 million gross. 5 to 6 million net, which is what, like 10 million gross, onto your wage bill at a time when you already need to reduce it if you're going to pursue this idea of having Ferran Torres available to you in January. That's a lot of Sergino Dest you got to sell there.
Yeah, well, obviously, let's talk a little about Sergino Dest, because his future is uncertain right now. We will get to that, but just because we were talking about Ferran Torres and registering there, and Gemma, you touched on it, still not registered at Barcelona. What's the latest situation with Ferran Torres' signing?
Well, it's not registered because it's not possible yet. Barcelona, they like drama, and they like to start the house from the roof down, so beginning at the end. The transfer market, winter transfer market in La Liga, it's still not open. It opens January the 3rd, so that would be the first day. Also, he's injured, so he's not able to play. So they have a little bit more days to register and to make him available to play. But the situation, is the same as before. They have the spending limit. They need to get rid of players. It's not enough with Demir and Luke de Jong. That's funny for Xavi. He's the only forward available for next game in Mallorca. The only one, this player that is not counting on him. So of course they are trying to sell Umtiti and Coutinho, and the deal with Ousmane Dembele to try to have his renewal is really in a difficult moment. So maybe they don't have to pay his wages, but it's not a desirable situation either for Barcelona, because they wanted to try to make some, at least to keep the player or try to make some business, and it's really looking quite bad right now.
Well, Gab did mention Sergino Dest, who doesn't seem to be in the plans of Xavi, so his future's uncertain there with Barcelona. But if his agent is to believe, he is actually wanted by Bayern. Now, we know how the two compare, particularly this season. Barcelona not at Bayern's level. So, Gab, is Xavi missing something here, or is there something that Bayern aren't seeing?
I think the simple fact of the matter is I don't think Xavi has any preconception against Sergino Dest. It's simply he needs strikers, he needs other players, he needs Ferran Torres. And the only way you're going to get that, apart from those fantasies that keep coming out about Umtiti to Newcastle and Coutinho to Arsenal and the other stuff that gets churned out from the Catalan press, the reality is you have saleable assets and you have assets that can't be sold, like Coutinho, like Umtiti, because they make too much money and they haven't performed of late. Sergino Dest is somebody for whom there is a market because he's young, because Bayern wanted him before, because they still definitely could use somebody at right back, an attacking right back. And for all those reasons, and Bayern also have some money to spend. So for all those reasons, he is a guy that you feel that maybe you can sacrifice. Certainly a lot more so than Frankie de Jong or Ansu Fati or people like that. So I think that is the main reason why Dest is in there. I don't think it's Xavi looking at him and saying, like, look, I don't think you're any good. And from Bayern, it's a great deal. If they can get him for even less than what Barcelona paid for him, then yeah, considering that they were after him when he moved to Barca in the first place.
Jan's back in with us now. So, not in Xavi's plans, but in Bayern's for Sergino Dest. Do you see it that way, Jan?
No, what I've been told from Bayern, there is no chance that they will do business with Dest in this transfer window. Yes, there's been interest in him, as has been said, and maybe they had a need for that kind of player. But Bayern Munich are concentrated in this window to get players out, to get player money in. They have had too many free agents going. He's been offered. He's a part of the Stellar group. But he's been offered to Bayern. He's offered to Chelsea. There's no takers at Bayern at the moment, and I will be very surprised if he's a Bayern Munich player during this window.
Let's touch on another player that is still at Barcelona at the moment, Ousmane Dembele, but the latest word is that negotiations between the club and the player are said to be breaking down in terms of him renewing his contract. If he wants more money, maybe that's not going to happen for him at Barcelona. Is it better then, Gab, for the club to cut their losses now and let a player like Dembele go? He's free to negotiate from the 1st of January.
He's free to negotiate from the 1st of January, but he'll still be there and still be on their books until June 30th, unless you find somebody to take him for free straight away, which would be silly because you still need him between now and the end of the year. I think Dembele's agents, and we said the same thing on the Gab and Jules show, are doing exactly the right thing. Just sit tight and wait. You've got a contract through June 30th. Until they put a contract in front of you that you like, or until your circumstances change, or until, maybe you can win over Xavi, maybe you can get more money, maybe you get more playing time, maybe you decide that there are other clubs for you. It's not like they're going to take that contract away, because as Gemma told us the other day, if you want to replace Dembele, you got to put real money on the table. So there's absolutely no imperative or urgency for Ousmane Dembele to sign a new deal now, unless it's the kind of deal that he wants to sign and that satisfies everything he wants. Otherwise, could you sell Dembele in January? Possibly, but what incentive would Dembele have to be sold? Because every penny that would go in a transfer fee this January is a penny that wouldn't be going to Dembele or his agents. So he's much better off waiting for free agency if he's going to leave. So I don't think there's any scenario, unless they make him a really serious offer that he's happy with. I don't think there's any scenario where you can somehow push Dembele into putting pen to paper now. You might have a shot come the summer, though.
And Gemma, what's the latest feeling back in Barcelona on the future of Ousmane Dembele?
Well, yeah, as Gab mentioned, it looks difficult that he might be deciding to leave now with a free card because he will lose the signing bonus. So it doesn't look that smart for him. So I think that the Barcelona's negotiation in this deal, they were very optimistic last week. Actually, they put that renewal in the Ferran Torres operation, saying that they've been talking with the player. He really wanted to stay and he was accepting a pay cut. Well, everything was not like this, what they were talking. So they are kind of upset because also it's a player. It's the second most expensive signing in this club's history, and he has only been able to play half of the games in 4 seasons and a half. So both parts are still talking, but his renewal has seen a huge setback, and it looks right now very difficult because his claims are unaffordable for Barcelona. It's 30 million per season, 30 million for signing bonus, plus 15 million for the agent as a signing bonus as well. So they cannot afford it. And as I was saying, any business school will recommend this kind of tactical, because it comes a new coach, Xavi, he says, I love this player. I really need this player. I need him to stay. Then the president says that Ousmane Dembele is way better than Mbappe. He can be better. And then the president say, we're going to sign Haaland. Then you sign a player for 55 million euros. And then you sit to negotiate and you say, I don't have money. So please pay cut your salary. So it doesn't look very smart for Barcelona.
So the transfer Tetris is just one of Barcelona's problems at the moment. A big one are the number of players that are missing due to COVID. Barcelona due to play Mallorca this weekend. Gemma, I understand that you'll be there as well should this game go ahead. Yes. What's the latest?
Yeah, we're going to be there. I hope to be able to watch a match there at the Somos. So the latest is Barcelona right now has this 10 player positive plus 6 injured to be confirmed, plus 1 suspended, Sergio Busquets. Xavi could have some good news because Jordi Alba and Clement Lenglet, they might be able to have 2 negative tests before Sunday. So these are the 2 only players affected by COVID that could be back before that game. Is it possible that the game could be suspended? Yes, it could be as well, because the rules say that you need 5 first-team players able to play and 1 goalkeeper. So Barcelona right now, they have 9. So the only chance that the game to be suspended is in that last PCR test. It's going to be taken in Mallorca on Sunday morning, that 4 players are tested positive. So in this situation, that the game will be suspended. Otherwise, Xavi will have to deal with up to 17 players unavailable to this first game of 2022.
Oh, we have a very difficult situation for Xavi right now. Mallorca against Barcelona coming up this weekend. Thanks so much to Gemma Soler for being with us. She will be at that game and it will be available for you on ESPN Plus on Sunday.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.